How are you guys doing out there? This is Genique, your nurse agent with eXp Realty, and today I have your national housing market report for the month of May. I got some great information for you, so if you're interested, please stay tuned. Alright guys, so continuing with our theme that has everybody talking pretty much is about the low inventory of homes on the market, and we're seeing it all across the country where inventory is very low right now, and it's no different for this month as well. Inventory is still low, and a big thing what we talked about in the last market report is with new construction homes, because we are in such a deficit of new construction homes being brought to the market that it doesn't allow for any inventory or very little new inventory to be on the market. So we're seeing that deficit from years back now, where there's been a deficit in new construction homes, and this is just something that we're dealing with, where it's not keeping up with population growth, and that long amount of years of not having new construction being bought to the market of such a low number, it's allowing for that deficit to still be there, and we're not building up enough homes or bringing enough homes to the market. So I want to show you a slide that will show you more information about this. Okay, so in this slide you can see it talks about single family housing units completed by decade, and you can see from 2010 to 2019 where just 6.5 million homes were completed in this country, whereas from the other 4 previous decades, only just under 10 million homes was completed. So you can see how much of a difference there were in between 2010 and 2019 for single family housing units being completed. Okay, so this is just something that we're really we can catch up on, because there's just not enough new inventory being brought to the market. Okay, so a lot of this comes from the housing market situation we had in 2008, where builders have not just been able to keep up with the current needs of the market. Okay. So Google has been reporting a huge search about, is this like a big housing crash or housing crisis? To be more exact, the exact question that Google reported is, people have been searching, when is the housing market going to crash? And that search has spiked, they say, almost 2,500% in the past month. So a lot of people are talking about that. And if you watch the last market report, you'll see where I discuss why this time is not like the last time. So please go back and watch that one if you want more information about that. But you can see from this next graph where we look at the year-over-year changes in our listings. And let's look at that. So let's talk about this inventory. So in this slide, you'll see new listings represented by the green bar here. You see that coming up in this last, you can see that came up 40%. And you can see total listings in the orange, and then it turning to red because the inventory is down 53% across the country. Well, you see that green part of new listings, 40%. When you think about year-over-year changes, you got to remember that last year with the pandemic and all, there wasn't as many, right, like coming. So there is a spike. You see that 40%, but that's keeping in mind there's an increase from last year due to the pandemic. So although it's still low, it was an increase from that time period because of what was going on. Okay, so we kind of expect to see a little increases in some areas due to that reason. Okay, all right, and so basically last time people are pulling listings off of the market because understandably people may not want people coming to their homes as much with all that was going on, and trying to be safe and help protect their families, right? So, okay, let's look at this quote by the National Association of Realtors. And it says demand remains strong as home buyers are snatching listings quickly off the MLS, and it takes approximately 18 days for a home to go from listing to contract in the current housing market. A year ago, it took 29 days. Okay, so we know that 29 days is definitely a short period of time, but now we're seeing 18 days, which is even faster. So today's housing market, when we're looking at inventory, just like I mentioned before in the previous video, where you got that bucket where we're trying to fill the housing market with homes when homes come on the market. But the thing is, that hole in the bottom is not allowing for that inventory to stay there. There's such a pent up demand, and with the interest rates that buyers are coming to the market wanting homes, that when homes go on the market, that demand is so there that they are, as quickly as they're put on the market, sometimes they're, right under contract and off the market again. So there's not really that time to allow for that count of inventory because they're moving through at a faster rate. So, all right, so let's look at when will our housing inventory begin to grow again? So what is our projected forecast here? So let's look at this graph here. And on this graph, we will see that 43% of the economists that have been surveyed said the U.S. housing market will grow in the second half of the year when folks feel more confident about going out and maybe having people in their homes. So you can see that on the graph there, 43% believing that the second half of the year, when folks feel more confident about going out and maybe having people in their homes, is when housing inventory will grow again. Okay, and certainly we understand that, especially when seeing people get more the vaccines and everything come down, and people beginning to be able to, things are opening back up, and people beginning to feel more safer. And also our builders now are building like there are more permits coming. The thing is, we had such a deficit for years that it's going to take time to build up that inventory once again, right? So, but we are thinking that in the second half of the year, that as people feel more comfortable, more sellers will begin to put their homes on the market and feel more comfortable in doing so. Okay, so let's take a look here at the top 5 reasons why homeowners will plan to sell this year. And looking at this slide here, we can see that one of the reasons why homeowners plan to sell this year is because their home no longer meets their needs. 2, they can make a profit in the current market. 3, they want a smaller house or less work. 4, they want to live closer to friends and family. And 5, they want different features and amenities. Okay, so these are the top 5 reasons why homeowners plan to sell this year. You know that with the pandemic and everything, the needs that people have in their homes have changed significantly. People believing more home as a safety place, and where when we weren't able to go out, many people wanted to have home gyms and home places where they could work out at home, offices, and being able to work from home, being able to want to relax at home and be more safe at home, and room to even spread out. So different needs, different changing needs because of that situation with the pandemic, and just wanting more things out of their home. So looking for those needs now and putting their home up for sale. And then we also can think about the profit in the current market, because we know that home prices have been appreciating, right? So to kind of, maybe they want to upgrade. Some people may even want to downsize in their homes and use that money for other purposes. There are different reasons why people may choose to sell their home, as we can see. And some people may just want that smaller home, less work. Maybe the kids are now gone off to school and maybe they're empty nesters, or they just want to downsize. Maybe they're getting older and they don't want that 2-story anymore. Maybe they want that 1-story. So different reasons, once again. And maybe, you know, with the pandemic also, people wanted to stay close to their friends and family, which is to be understood with everything that was going on. And then just having those different features and amenities, right? So let's look at this next one that talks about prospective home buyers planning to buy a home in the next 12 months. So let's look at this graph here and pull it up. All right, so in this graph, it says 16% of American adults are considering the purchase of a home in the next 12 months, according to NAHB's Housing Trend Report for Q1 2021. That's 6 points higher than the 10% with similar plans a year ago. So what you see there, the first quarter of 2020, about 10% of folks saying that they were planning on buying a home, jumping up to 16% by the beginning of the first quarter of this year. So basically what that means is the attitude towards owning a home and buying a home has shifted during this pandemic, and it's kind of interesting. People still believing in the American dream of having homes. Some people kind of say, is that still really the American dream? Well, obviously buyers are still trying to get homes, and people are saying, well, are they affordable? But when you think about it, the housing market is what buyers are willing to pay for homes. And obviously with this market, buyers are still willing to pay these prices for these homes. They still need homes and they're still able to buy these homes. So it is definitely still seeming to be a part of the American dream, and to have that safe place of home. And many people feel better about being able to provide that space and have that safe place that they can call home. So it's what they work for, and they want to have those different features in their home. So it still seems to be part of the American dream. All right, so let's look at this. We talked about that some reasons sellers are selling now is because of the money basically they can make in the sale of their home. So what is that? Let's look at this average profit for home sellers. And looking at this graph, we can see the average profit for home sellers has actually increased 26%. Okay, so looking at 2020 in Q1, the amount of profit was $55,750, whereas in 2021 Q1, $70,050. Based on this graph, we see that the average profit for home sellers has definitely increased by 26%, which is really awesome. And especially buyers that wanted to get into homes. So if you're thinking about selling, it's a great time to do so. But then even as on the buy side, it's still a great time to buy as well, with the interest rates and getting in and taking advantage of these great price appreciation, which experts are saying will keep appreciating, although they believe that the appreciation will become more gradual, but that home prices will continue to appreciate. And many people are asking that question, is this a bubble? And basically the experts are telling us this is not a bubble, but it is a case of supply and demand. And basically when you think about back to that new construction where the supply has just been so low for years and years now, and then you got all that pent up demand, and then buyers come to the market trying to find homes to buy, and it just really isn't there. But the supply is low, demand is high, and prices are appreciating. So it's definitely a case of supply and demand right now. And that is according a statement that is made by, you can see on this slide here, by Mr. Lawrence Young, the chief economist of NAR, or the National Association of Realtors. So definitely Definitely something to pay attention to with supply and demand is basically basic economics here. And another thing we want to talk about is forbearance. It's not something that I talk about a whole lot, but I want to touch on it this time for this market report. Okay, so when looking at forbearance, there's a lot of people who have left forbearance recently. Looking at the slide, it tells us that there are 400,000 people that have left forbearance. And in our next slide, you can see here where upon exit from forbearance, 47.3% were paid in full. 36.5% have worked out a repayment plan, and 16.2% basically showing still being in trouble. And if we looked at a graph of this over time, we'll see that that amount that have paid in full has went down a little bit, while those who are working out a plan has risen a little bit as well. But what's still kind of in the red, we still got a little bit of an increase there with people who are in trouble. So we're still something to monitor. It seems like it's getting better in that people are working out a plan of how to pay and everything, but there are a small number that are still in trouble. Okay, so let's go to our next expert here, who says, this is Rick Strager, EVP of Realty Track. He says, I think the math speaks for itself, how well the forbearance program has worked. And it's one of the few times in my career that I have seen a government-initiated program adopted as well and executed as well by the industry as this one. So it seems that many people are trying to work through this forbearance and to exit out of the forbearance plan. So it's something to keep an eye on and to monitor. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at mortgage rates. So mortgage rates is always something that we want to discuss as people are driven to the market, buyers are driven to the market because of low interest rates, low mortgage rates, and how long will they last is usually the question. And many are saying it's not a matter of if it will go up, but when and up to how much will it be when it goes up. So let's look at this graph here of mortgage rate projections according to the experts. So when we look at this one, mortgage rate projections, you can see these are from the experts of Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, MBA, and NAR. And looking at 2021 third quarter, you can see the range here from 3.3 with Freddie Mac, 3.3 Fannie Mae, 3.6 MBA, and 3.2 NAR. For an average of all four for that third quarter of 2021, 3.35%. And then looking at the fourth quarter of 2021, you can see the average of all four, 3.47%. 2022 first quarter average of all four, they're saying 3.6%. And the average of 2022 second quarter from all four comes out to 3.67%. So you can see that all of them are estimating that it will go up, although they all have their different projections for how much it will go up. I think it's safe to say that that range, they got there between 3.35% and 3.67%, that it's likely to go up, and somewhere in that range it may also go up. And this is according to the experts for their mortgage rate projections. Okay, so when we look at mortgage rates, we also want to look at the home price forecast, because as we know, as we started out saying, that home prices and price appreciation, the values of homes have been going up, or home prices have been going up. So I want to look at this chart here about home price forecast for 2021. So we look at this, and this again is from the experts ranging from MBA, Fannie Mae, Zelman, Freddie Mac, NAR, Realtor.com, and CoreLogic. And according to this graph, 6.8% is the average of all forecasts of how much home prices will appreciate throughout 2021. Okay, so they're estimating that home prices will continue to appreciate, and many are saying that this appreciation will continue, although it may be gradual, but it will still continue to rise. And you can see from the graph that their average, according to these experts and these professionals, organizations that we rely on this data from, they're projecting a 6.8% average for home price appreciation. Well, last year there were 6.5 million homes sold across the country, and we projected over 7 million homes this year. So overall, we're still in a very good market for all of us. And it's interesting to see what will happen in 2022. But for now, we are still in a very good market. So everything is pointing good towards people who may want to sell their home for price appreciation, and you may have that equity still in your home. All right, so if we look at this graph here, it's saying home sales forecasted to increase nicely in 2021 and do well in 2022. And this is looking at projections and forecasts from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and MBA. And you can see in 2021 from all three of those reputable sources that we had a range there from 6.9 to 7.3 million. With 2020 total home sales, they were at 6.5 million, but you can see that all three sources there are estimating more home sales this year, with the lowest being 6.9 million, which is over the 2020 home sales, all the way to 7.3 million. And then when we look at 2022, these three sources are estimated anywhere from 6.5 million, which is what the total home sales were in 2020, all the way up to 7.5 million. So the data seems to be showing us from these sources that we will have continued home sales, and the market will continue to do well even through into 2022. So even with that minimum from Fannie Mae being 6.5 million, that was the total home sales in 2020, which wasn't such a bad year housing wise. Houses were still selling, and with 2022, we're saying that minimum being 6.5 million, all the way up to 7.5 million in total home sales for that year. So housing market still looks to be doing well and projected to do well into 2022. So gonna look at some things here with the economic recovery. And with that, we know that with the pandemic of last year, now we're getting into more things with the vaccines and things opening up, and people working on their jobs, and more income and so forth, and different needs and different wants in certain situations. So people are continuing to buy, and this it's like the recovery time for us. So when we look at that 2021 spring home buying season, what we're seeing is positive signs of economic recovery. And so I want to show you this slide here. Okay, so looking at this slide, it says, despite the severe slowdown last year, the 2021 spring home buying season is trending strong, reflecting the many positive signs of economic recovery, with prospective buyers continue to be motivated by historically low mortgage rates. We anticipate sustained demand in the summer and early fall. And this is from Mr. Frank Martell, President and CEO of CoreLogic. Okay, so they are still estimating that the market will continue to do well, especially with the economic recovery. And we can even see that this is according to the president and CEO of CoreLogic, another reputable source, and they're estimating a strong spring home buying season. Okay, so let's look at another slide trying to give you this information. Let's look at this one from JP Morgan, another reputable source. So he's JP Morgan, the senior market, one of their senior market economists, Mr. Joe Seidel, I'm probably not saying that right, said home buyers interest rates are still historically low, though they are inching up. Housing prices have spiked during the last 6 to 9 months, but we don't expect them to fall soon. And we believe they are more likely to keep rising. If you are looking to purchase a new home, conditions now may be better than 12 months hence. Those who remember the housing bubble of 2006 to 2007 may be nervous watching U.S. housing prices soar now. But the previous bubble was fueled by speculative buying, which we do not think is the case today. So what Mr. Seidel here is saying is that if you're looking to purchase a home, it may be better to purchase now than in 12 months. And the reason why they're saying is because that prices will likely continue to appreciate even into 2022, as we saw in the previous graph. And while interest rates are low, that it may be better to go ahead and buy now, as interest rates are projected also to rise. And as a buyer, it may be better now, before those interest rates continue to rise, to get in. That way that you benefit from the low interest rates. And then by getting into a property, you also benefit from that price value continuing to appreciate and building that equity in the new home, right? So this is from JP Morgan, and it's saying that he believed that they are more likely to keep rising, talking about housing prices. Okay, let's look at our year-over-year change in housing inventory. This was a map that we looked at before in last month's market update, a national market update, but this is an updated map now of the year-over-year changes in housing inventory. So when you look at this map, you can see from state to state how low inventory is in each individual state. And overall in the United States, we are seeing that decrease of a 53% decrease in housing inventory year over year. Like I say, I'm in Tennessee, so I always look at Tennessee. But in Tennessee, we can see that housing inventory is down year over year, 65.5%. There in Utah, we see it down 71.3%. And then New York is down 18.7%. And places like Hawaii, they're only down 12.3%. But you can see the majority across the United States are in those areas where the decrease in housing inventory is relatively high. As you can see, according to the legend there, that those three reddish colors as being the higher of having the states with more decreased inventory. So you can see that it's not just in Tennessee, or maybe just not in the state where you are, but it is across the United States, with the United States having a decrease in housing inventory year over year, down 53%. So that's something that we attribute to decreased new construction, especially with new construction costs and the lumber prices appreciating, going up and rising. So a lot of factors there, and we just have like years and years of not having that inventory be there from new construction. And now, with less people have been putting their homes on the market because of pandemic and different reasons, and we're just low on inventory from years of not having it there. But let's look at the homes that are being put on the market that are selling. We know that the housing market is quote unquote hot right now, but we also know that it's important to price your home correctly. Even though this is considered a hot market, it still matters that you price your home correctly, so it does not sit on the market, because the market value is what a buyer is willing to pay for your property. But if you overpricing it, and nobody's gonna see your property, so pricing it still matters, and conditions still matters. So those are factors that you still want to pay attention to, even if you're considering putting your home on the market, not to overprice it in a way that it is overlooked. Okay, so but let's look at homes. This graph here that shows us number of offers on the listing, and how that has skyrocketed this year. So this is showing the average of the January to March data each year, from 2016 to 2021. And you can see back in 2016, there were an average of 2.2 offers on a listing. Whereas you go over to 2021, you can see that now we're averaging 4.8 offers on a listing on average. So you can see that jump there from 20 into 2021. So homes that are on the market are getting an average now of 4.8 offers on the home. So it's pretty good, because when you put your home out there, you want to get the most money for your home. You want to be able to walk away with the most money on your home, and to get more people to compete for the sale of your home puts you in a greater position as the seller. So that's another indication that it's a great time to sell. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so let's take a look at this slide. This slide is from Merrill Lynch, and it's saying there are reasons to believe that this is likely to be an unusually long and strong housing expansion. Demand is very strong because the biggest demographic cohort in history is moving through the household formation and peak home buying stages of its life cycle. Coronavirus-related preference changes have also sharply boosted home buying demand. At the same time, supply is unusually tight, with available homes for sale at record low levels. Double-digit price gains are rationing the supply. So in the beginning of that, they're basically talking about millennials and buying more homes now. And like I said before, some of them are buying investment properties as well. And they're moving through this whole household formation and home buying and all of this. They're moving through this system as well, and we're seeing double-digit price gains and rationing the supply. So what are forecasters saying right now about home values, home price appreciation? So I'm going to show you this graph here where you can see the forecast from these different associations. So you got Mortgage Bankers Association, Zelman, National Association of Realtors, Realtor.com, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, CoreLogic, and this is their projection of home price appreciation for this year as of now. So you can look at the averages there, and Mortgage Bankers Association, and they're projecting 10.3% price appreciation, all the way down to CoreLogic at 3.5% price appreciation, for average of all 7 of these being 6.9% for home price appreciation. And these are according to the experts here. So good news still for home prices, just more information just to let us know that according to the experts, they are still projecting home prices to continue to appreciate. Looking at this slide here from Morgan Stanley, it says, unlike 15 years ago, the euphoria in today's home prices comes down to the simple logic of supply and demand. And we at Morgan Stanley conclude that this time the sector is on a sustainably sturdy foundation. This robust demand and highly challenged supply, along with tight mortgage lending standards, may continue to bode well for home prices. Higher interest rates and post-pandemic moves could likely slow the pace of appreciation, but the upward trajectory remains very much on course. Okay, so they are saying that yes, interest rates may increase, and different things going on. It may slow the pace of the appreciation, but there still will be appreciation. So it looks to still be great time and great information about home prices increasing, still home appreciation, but also remember that those interest rates are projected to rise as well, which is something that buyers may want to be aware of. Okay, so wrapping this up, if we look at this last slide here, this is from NAR. And NAR, this is NAR's 2021 Q1 home price report. And it's just saying that the record high home prices are happening across nearly all markets, big and small, even in those metros that have long been considered off the radar in prior years for many home seekers. And this is according to Lawrence Yoon with NAR. And it's saying that 99% of metro areas recorded year-over-year price increases, and 89% of metro areas had double-digit price gains. So it is to say that according to all these experts, they're showing us data and more data about home prices continuing to appreciate, like we said, into 2022. Although it may be gradual, there will still be price appreciation. And I think that it is important to look at as well with all of our information about with the economy as well, as far as consumer prices and how the prices of like gas going up, and also with employment and just different factors that all of this affects our housing market as well, and looking at different things and seeing what the months ahead will continue to bring. Right now we're seeing those interest rates climb, we're seeing house prices climb, and there may be slight increases in different places of more inventory coming, but being that there's such a large deficit, we're just don't have that inventory at that given time to account, because it's constantly filtering through, because as soon as it comes on the market or it's not on the market very long and then that inventory is gone, it can't be counted anymore. So just continue to look at all of these factors and what the experts are telling us, and we'll continue to follow that. So that is the May National Housing Market Report. And I enjoy bringing this information to you, and hopefully it all just puts into perspective how our housing market is doing, and helps you to make the decisions along the way if you're deciding to sell your home or to buy a home in today's housing market. So thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to bringing you more great information. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I do put out monthly market reports as well as local Memphis housing reports. So please continue to watch for those to come out. And you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. Goodbye.